So the Chicago Sky have announced that they are moving arenas for Indiana's home game. Well, Indiana's road game, but Chicago's home game. This is the motion that the Indiana Fever
The recent action taken by Chicago Sky has the WNBA as a whole speaking, letting go of their Winrust Arena with 1,000 seats for the enormous United Center has 23,500 seats, but exclusively for one particular match as teams race to profit from basketball's most recent. Angel Reese is a phenomenon who doesn't hold back. Her thoughts on what's actually the conflict between the two rookies has progressed outside of the court into a complete and utter business revolution.
Chicago Sky have just announced that they are moving their game against the Indiana Fever to the United Center. Now, generally, these Sky play in Wintrust Arena, which accommodates about 10,000 people, but the United Center accommodates 23,500. Now, I did hear that the 23,500 were for concert events, and for sporting events, I think it was either in the 21,500 range.
However, Chicago is not the only city using this tactic. Already, the Washington Mystics have cleared the way for. Let's go directly to the breaking. The Chicago Sky have declared their move in writing. Their matchup with the Indiana at home United Center Fever. This isn't simply changing the arena, this is relocating from Winrust Arena, their usual venue, which has about 10,000 fans. Renowned United Center, the location of the Chicago Bulls, can accommodate 23,500 for performances and around 21,500 for athletic activities. The importance of this cannot be emphasized enough. Not only is the United Center larger, but it's where history was made by Michael Jordan, where banners for championships are suspended from the rafts are considered hallowed territory in basketball. This shift is being made by language and the sky. For a single game when Caitlin, the Indiana Fever, and Clark arrive in town.
But the Chicago Sky aren't the only ones arena hopping to host the Indiana Fever, as the Washington Mystics also have changed their venue to accommodate the Indiana Fever. The Mystics have one of the smallest arenas in the WNBA, which is CareFirst Arena, which holds 4,200 capacity. And last year, they took this step as well, moving their game to Capital One Arena against the Fever, which drew in.
The previous season, they shifted their matchup with the Fever from the little Capital One Arena, which is home to only 4,200 spectators at a much bigger stadium. As a result, more than 20,000 viewers, over 5 times their typical capacity for one standard game of the season, and this year they are intensifying that approach in accordance with to a position of authority from the Washington. Mark your calendars, Mystics. Not a single one. The 4 home games for the Mystics will be moved to CFG and Eagle Bank Arena. This season at Bank Arena, let's do it. All home games are sold out. Once more, we are eager to perform for Baltimore and Northern Virginia will break. The Mystics are considerably more profound than this, shifting their matchup with the Aces too. Eagle Bank Arena can accommodate 10,000 people. Game to Eagle Bank against the Sky. 10,000 people, but they only have 2 games. In opposition to the Indiana Fever, they are being transferred to the CFG Bank Arena, where has 14,000 fans, and the pattern is obvious. WNBA clubs are moving strategically to bigger locations, particularly when Caitlin Clark visits the area. This isn't merely to make room for a few more fans, it's about leveraging what's referred to as the Caitlin Clark phenomenon.
And then, one of the owners, Sheila Johnson, did go on a show and talk about how the entire WNBA should have been on the cover of Time magazine, to which a lot of people responded to the Washington Mystics capitalizing on the Indiana Fever by moving their games to different venues, only bolstering their revenue. And I am not mad that all these teams are moving to bigger venues. I think that it's great that more people do get to see the Indiana Fever, and that the WNBA does get to capitalize. The WNBA owners do get to capitalize on the explosive growth.
As stated by a June's report by WNBA attendance, according to sportscasting.com, increased by an astounding 105% when Clark averaged 36% while playing for the Fever. More admirers traveling than any other. In September, a WNBA team played at Fieldhouse in Gainbridge between the Fever, and the league attendance was set by the Mystics. Documentation of 20,711 viewers, the monetary. There are significant ramifications. On social media, a commenter wrote, "These changes in venue may incur an additional $4, $2 million for each game, with millions in revenue. For league teams that host the Fever, where having enough money has been that type of windfall is difficult. Unavoidable, but not all people are." Commemorating this occurrence, there's some players get frustrated, especially Angel Reese, who has helped to build her own big fan base and celebrity electricity, although there hasn't been any Reese's direct remarks regarding the location changes, particularly in her body language. Increased activity on social media have made it evident that she's not totally at ease with the exclusive focus on Clark. The conflict between Clark and Reese stretches back to their time in college, especially the NCAA championship in 2023. The meeting between Iowa and LSU became one of the most viewed women's historical basketball games, not only for the caliber of the game, but for the various personalities and styles of. The intriguing thing about these two stars, the way it's carried over, is their dynamic. Both youngsters into the professional ranks have drawn hitherto unheard of attention to the WNBA, although it appears that Clark is influencing the key business choices, such as these venue modifications, which raises intriguing queries regarding acknowledgement, marketing, and women's business. Is it reasonable for teams to, especially taking advantage of Clark's drawing power, ought to be comparable, make allowances for games, including the Chicago Sky and how does this affect the league as a whole? Caitlin Clark personally addressed the location circumstances from the previous season, expressing, "It is what it is, and if it will advance the game, without a doubt. That's fantastic. That's how it ought to be. I mean, I looked at the ticket costs. The only thing, I suppose, is that I'm astonished that we won't be performing at the. I believed that United Center would have been incredibly beneficial to the game and excellent for all fans of women's basketball. Perhaps there is a clash in Chicago, of a kind I'm not familiar with. That's obviously a little more than I get paid. We're thrilled, but you know what at." Clark's earlier remark regarding, "Now the United Center is a reality as the heavens have heard and created the very." She recommended a measure that would benefit the. "What we are seeing in this game is unparalleled in the history of the WNBA. The league has seen celebrities before, including Diana Taurasi Sue, to mention a few, Bird, Candace Parker, Maya Moore. However, no rookie has ever produced such an instantaneous economic impact, requiring teams to essentially alter their locations to meet the demand to place. Given the historical background, this is worth inquiring as to whether this has ever happened before. Sort of thing that Michael Jordan lead to comparable NBA venue changes. The NBA was not a great comparable, already firmly entrenched when Jordan gained notoriety, but the WNBA is still in the stage of growth, yet even. What's responsible for that discrepancy? Clark's actions regarding attendance statistics and revenue is impressive. One feature that makes this circumstance especially the commercial aspect of basketball for women. The WNBA, for all its development and advancement, are still, at their core, business. Teams are changing these locations since it, when possible, it makes economical sense. Perhaps make an additional $2 million from a single game. That choice turns into, as one commentator stated, "It's clear Clark fails to make a difference. She is the needle. Her influence goes well beyond only attendance data." For the updated CBA agreement for collective bargaining, that's giving the WNBA a lot more money. Construction of new practice spaces. The last time charter flights were implemented. Every one of these developments is at least in part because of the enhanced income and awareness that, although Clark has contributed to the league, this brings up difficult issues regarding equity and acknowledgement in the sport. While there is no denying Clark's influence in basketball, continues to be a team sport with an emphasis on one player, regardless of their popularity or skill level, can lead to conflict among teams and around the league. This is the location of the Angel Ree element becomes especially pertinent. Ree has established her own substantial fan base and is an outstanding ability in her own right. The story of Ree and Clark that started has translated to the professional world from college, where both newcomers are establishing themselves. However, the difference between how the league and teams are reacting to them, notable from a commercial standpoint. What's especially intriguing is how this the dynamic is being displayed in public. Renowned for being frank and powerful, character hasn't been bashful about sharing her thoughts and feelings regarding comparing yourself to Clark or feeling left out. It seems that even though she's annoyed with Clark's game because she believes that she is being treated unfairly, and acknowledgement this tension isn't inevitably detrimental to the league. In actuality, rivalries have traditionally been fantastic for the sports industry. The magic, the competition between Johnson and Larry Bird saved NBA throughout the 1980s. The query is if the WNBA can effectively traverse this dynamic while honoring both stars, employing their contrasting personalities and styles to develop curiosity about the game from a company viewpoint on what's taking place with them. Venue changes are an intriguing sports economics case study. WNBA teams are basically carrying out a experiment in real time. How much more can we make money by switching to a larger location for some high demand games? The findings thus far indicate the solution is numerous. In addition, there's the sustainability question. Is the Caitlin Clark's flash in the pan effect or the start of a new period for basketball for women? Will these bigger venues are still full for the second year, 3 years and up, or will the new wear off? The first findings indicate this phenomenon is not merely transitory. The core allure of Clark's game, in addition to the general improvement in quality of WNBA play, indicates long-term development for the athletes themselves. Circumstance generates both possibilities and difficulties. On the one hand, the growing revenue and attention should eventually translate more favorably toward greater pay, infrastructure, and more resources throughout the board. However, the irregular attentional distribution can result in, if left unchecked, tension and hostility. Appropriately, it is evident that the WNBA is at a turning point. For many years, the league has been gradually growing, cultivating talent, and enhancing its product. Now that Clark has arrived, Ree and a rookie with extraordinary talent, class in addition to well-known stars such as Breanna Stewart, Aya Wilson, and others, the league has an unparalleled chance to captivate the imagination of sports enthusiasts. The actions of the Chicago Mystics of the Sky and Washington to a wider venues are only one that is visible expression of this chance. Behind there are probably a lot of scenes there, additional business choices being made. How can we use the same calculus to best take advantage of this opportunity for fans? There are more seats now, which is wonderful. Indicates more chances to see the game in person. Bigger arenas frequently have improved facilities and viewing opportunities. The ambience of more than 2,000 spectators supporting the women's basketball converts and makes memories, converting casual viewers into ardent supporters. But additionally, it's a time that calls for careful league management. Although reasonable, the emphasis on Clark from a business standpoint must be matched with other stars' celebration and plots the conflict with Ree, offers the ideal setting for this, showcasing both athletes as the public faces of a fresh generation instead of promoting one at the other's expense. The actual where this leads are larger is the question. Venues are only the first step. Will we see the relocation of WNBA games to football stadiums? Special matches will be televised. Sales of items, sponsorships, and deals continue to expand rapidly. Trajectory and what effects will this have on the expansion of the women's game internationally? Why do these venue changes occur? What's very important is that they reflect quantifiable, tangible proof. Impact. Talking about it is one thing. Heightened curiosity or buzz on social media. Seeing teams actually in action is another. Altering their company's operations to satisfy demand. This isn't. There is no room for conjecture or exaggeration. Clark's business decision-making. Herself, this must be a remarkable experience. Consider yourself a novice and being aware that whole venues are being switched, especially as a result of you. Expectations and pressures that accompany such effects are enormous, but so she appears to be managing it thus far with outstanding composure and concentration on the game. For Ree, the difficulty is distinct yet equally important methods for you create your own persona and influence in a league where a newcomer is attracting unheard of attention. Thus far, the reaction has been to rely on her brand by being true to herself, about her unique personality and play style, as opposed to attempting to compete. Straight to the point of Clark's method. The truth. Both of them and numerous others are needed by the WNBA. Others. The expansion of the league won't be maintained by a single star, regardless of how bright a constellation will be needed of talented players, teams, and narratives that are able to grasp the creativity of a wide range of viewers in which perceive the conflict between Clark and, in fact, Ree is advantageous as long as it stays considerate and concentrated on basketball. Their disparate approaches and storylines are naturally created by personalities, which attract audiences who might otherwise not follow the WNBA as we anticipate. These venue changes for the upcoming season are probably only the start, so expect to observe additional teams taking comparable actions, particularly as the timetable moves forward and the ability of important matchups to draw becomes even more apparent. We might also observe developments in premium ticketing, encounters, and other sources of income, tactics that are especially based on highly sought-after games. The most thrilling. What that might indicate is one component of all of this. For the sustained well-being of women's basketball, higher profits result in greater investment, which results in improved player growth, which results in a superior product that generates more fans, generating a positive growth cycle. With the right handling, this moment may be the driving force behind the WNBA's greater heights for athletes such as Angel Ree. The difficulty will be figuring out how to guarantee the advantages of this growth. Everyone, not just a few celebrities. Although frustration is normal, it can be directed toward constructive transformation as well, promoting the acknowledgement of varied skills and tales amid the growing emphasis on the league. In the meantime, the difficulty for Caitlin Clark will be maintaining this degree of influence while keeping improving as a player and teammate. There are high expectations, yet thus far, she has demonstrated exceptional capacity to step up to the challenge. In the end, what we're seeing is the league's real-time progression. These changes in the venue aren't simply about allowing additional spectators to attend a few games. They are outward signs of a major change in the WNBA's operations, company, and the nature of women's basketball, viewed in the larger sports community. Scenery. For someone who enjoys basketball, this is an amazing moment to watch. The game is expanding in front of our eyes because, to